What's going on, everybody? This is Lauren with TMF Apparel USA. This is the TMF podcast, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about print heads and how hopefully you don't make the same mistakes that I have recently made, costing you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. So, today's shirt of the day is my new JRE shirt right here. This little fan art compilation. I printed this shirt on my 3880, and you can see right through it. Oh, I got my chrome key still on. But this was a single pass print. I'm going to get up a little bit closer to it there, which is the first day I've actually had success with single pass printing on my AirRen DTG machine. Now, what did I do different this time? Well, I replaced my head this week. I'm going to pull this out of this baggie right here. This is a DX7 print head. The DX5 also kind of comes apart the same as this one. But I got a donor head out of a Epson 3880 because that is the machine that is inside of the AirRen that I have. So the first thing I did when I got this new machine, took the side off of it, took it apart, pulled the print head out of it, right? So I removed the print head. Looks like so, right here, right? And I don't know how long this machine has been sitting stagnant. So the first thing I did was I took it and I placed it into my small ultrasonic cleaner with some purple power, some water, and a little bit of rubbing alcohol. And I ran the ultrasonic cleaner on it. And I let it soak for probably about 10 minutes. It wasn't that long. And then what I did is I took my syringe with my little hose on it, my little tube, and I stuck it on each one of these nozzles, okay? And then I slowly pulled, very lightly pulled pressure out the backside. And all of them definitely had a clog in them. And so when I was pulling the pressure out, it would, be a little tight, and then here comes the fluid. And I would see each color that was stuck inside of that head. And I did this about 5 times or so per nozzle until I was starting to get the fluid out. Now keep in mind, when I'm doing this, I am also still changing the fluid that's in the ultrasonic cleaner, and that fluid is also heated. I do warm it up in the microwave because hotter water or hotter liquids tend to break down these inks a little bit faster. So once I was satisfied with that, I did not do a waterfall. Now, I haven't tested this theory yet, and I'm going to probably sometime this weekend. But I was watching a video of someone in Asia. I don't know if he was in China or the Philippines or wherever he was. But they were doing print head repairs on these heads. And he was taking and waterfalling them all at the same time. So 8 lines into the print head, 8 lines into here, and just pounding it with fluid. And it was just like a hose coming out. I mean, it was gorgeous. It was gorgeous to watch. My theory is that when we put just one on here, with just one hose at a time, that pressure, and I'll show you in a minute why I believe this, builds up in this head, and it has to go somewhere, and it's going to follow the path of least resistance, which means if this bottom plate here is clogged and it can't come out, it's going to go back out the whatever else it can find, which ends up blowing out the seal inside the head, which causes us more problems. Now, I'm going to show you what I did to this head that I think, well, not this one, but the new one. This is my donor head for this video. What I did that I think saved me from burning one up, because I burned up a head on my free jet this week, and I honestly thought I was super careful with it and keeping moisture out of the connector, because if there's any moisture in here, right here, and you plug it in, it's going to fry that main board and fry your head like instantaneously. It's extremely frustrating. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what I did with this that I think saved me, because I cleaned 2 heads. I did an R1800 head to put back in my free jet, and I did another 3880. Excuse me. The first thing I did, if you flip it over, you'll notice there are 3 screws. This one has 1 left in it, but 1, 2, and 3. We remove these, and you think, oh no, we can't do that. It's so dangerous. Well, this is just holding on basically a little guide plate, right? And this keeps us from touching this actual glass print head plate right here that actually has your nozzles in it. But what this does, once that's off of there, let me just tilt this down just a hair. Once this is off, you can pull this piece off, okay? So now what we have is the print head manifold, and then we have the actual print head right here. So on the back side of the print head, this is your main board, circuit board for it. You also have a rubber gasket right here. We can pull this gasket off, okay? No harm in doing this. It fits on there only one way. Zero harm in pulling this off. Now, inside of here, you can kind of see we have these little itty bitty holes. That's where your ink is going into. It's going into each one of these little holes, right? In between that, we have our actual circuits that run each head, or each nozzle in your head, rather, right? Now, getting this thing apart, that's, gonna pretty much destroy this head. We do not have the machinery or equipment to fix this. I do, however, believe that somebody out there does. I'm going to find them. And when I do, I'm going to send them like 10 print heads to fix. Because this is just a circuit board, and this is just a build plate. And unless your little nozzles down here are pretty jacked up, I don't see why they can't fix it. But I'll come back to that. So, after I cleaned my head, I wanted to make sure, because I had an ultrasonic cleaner, that I had no moisture anywhere when I put this back into my printer. So I took this, just like it is, and I blew air all over it I have an air compressor. So I used an air compressor with a little air nozzle, and I blew air and I blew it off, and I blew it pretty gently, because if you blow air into these, that's just like pressurizing it, and you don't want to over pressurize your nozzles. So I blew it all off. This is a step that I hadn't done before. And I want to make sure this was, 100% dry before putting it back in. So once I was done with that, I took this little gasket here. I say you can put it right back on there. It only goes on one way, right? Super simple. Then I took this guy, and I took my air, and I put it on each nozzle, and I blew out these holes, right? Because all this is channels, right? So we put our ink in the top, and it comes out the bottom. That's what it does. Interestingly enough, the setup here is kind of funky. I mean, it's 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, which is interesting, to say the least, why they come up with this, but that's what they do. And when I did that, I actually blew stuff right out of here. I mean, color. So I'm sucking through fluid that looks clear, but I still blew color out of my ports right here. When I was done with that, and I knew it was dry, I then reassembled it, which is simple. Like I said, it only goes together one way. You can't fuck it up. Put that back on there, like so. Keep in mind, you don't want to go messing up with this head right here. But they say, oh, don't touch it, but you just be careful, right? If you wanted to, put a piece of tape or something across it, or some plastic, if you're worried about it. But you reassemble this, you put your 3 screws back in, you tighten them down, and your head is reassembled and ready to go back in the printer. Now, I have burned up probably 4 heads on cleaning them, on water falling them, and I believe it's mostly due to overpressurizing them and moisture. So I've done 2 heads so far without water falling them, just pulling liquid back through it, and the results have been night and day from trying to actually waterfall. You're trying to push through it in there. Keep in mind, when this head is in your printer and you run a head clean of any kind or an ink charge, we're not forcing ink down this way. It's actually sucking it out the bottom is what it's doing. It's not forcing it down, it's pulling it out, which is why if your pump goes bad, it's going to be very difficult to get good nozzle checks, because it's just not going to have the suction power to pull the ink through the actual head. So I hope this video was helpful. I'm going to repost on this channel some of my other DTG videos and DTF videos as well. That might help you out in the future also. If you are a FreeJet owner and you're running the R2400 head, you can use an L1800, an R1800, an R2400. Any of these DX5 print heads will work. If it comes out of an Epson, it will go back into an Epson and then doesn't know the difference. Just keep that in mind. Now, if you burn up the main board, that has to be an R2400 main board. I have tried putting an R1800 in there. It didn't care. It was like, nope, hard pass. So even though it was a good board, it did not care at all. But also the ribbon cables are the same. The pump assembly is the same. So there's a lot of good salvageable parts from within these machines that you can use to repair yours at a budget cost. I pay about $150 to $250 for a used, not verified working printer. And that's a gamble I'm willing to take because they'll charge you about $1,200 for one of these. And I can buy about 5 printers for $1,200. So I'll take my chances. Could have 4 extra print heads. So until next time, hit the like, hit the subscribe, check out the channel, check out the website, leave me some comments, let me know what else you would like to know. And I'm going to try to do more DTF and DTG videos in the future on this channel as well. So stay tuned for more. Good luck out there.